Yeah.
Oh, cool. Perfect. Okay, that's great.
Yeah, let me just send this link to the chat. I think it's your laptop.
Yeah, so much security with that.
It's acting up when you don't need to act up.
No, it's just security. They're very particular which ISIS guy is calling me and all that.
Eh,
You never know, and you never know who's talking to you.
I'm sure you're really that important that people need to kind of put a tab on you.
No, maybe I'm OnlyFans or something. Someone record up. Huh? You think I don't show OnlyFans on this?
I don't want to know what content you have on OnlyFans.
That's the reason. Give me a second. I'll be back.
Okay, sure. Oh, I can't see you though.
Oh yeah, sorry. You got to ask Sufi all this school holiday stuff. She might know better than me.
How many kids does he have? Huh?
2. Yeah, 2.
Are they big kids?
One is big. One's in the army, almost going to army or in the army. I think the other one, the daughter's quite young. Yeah, I think so. But Yasim, verify, fact check. I wouldn't know.
Sure. Okay, they're all in.
They're all in? Cool.
Yeah, but I don't see that. Okay. Hello.
Yo. Everybody's here. My dream team is here.
Not all, but yes, some.
I'm meeting the other one tomorrow. Okay, my Avengers, how are you?
Ary, it's good to see you, man. Hello.
Cool.
Yeah. Hi, Sufi. How are you?
Yeah, and you've got a mic. That means you're like doing podcasts.
No, I'm not. This is just like remote work is an excuse for buying new gadgets and stuff. So I love playing with this. Yeah.
What do you do actually, Ary?
Sorry.
What do you do for a living?
I do marketing. So I am now the growth lead for Asia Pacific for Muz, a Muslim marriage app.
Oh,
Yeah.
Muz.
A Muslim Tinder.
Muslim
I
Tinder.
was just
What?
is it Muslim Tinder?
Yeah.
What's it called
That's
again?
brilliant, man. That's
Mus,
important market.
MUZZ.
MUZZ. Yeah.
What is such a thing? Muslim Tinder.
Yeah, there's also a Christian Tinder. I mean, Christian version of Tinder.
Yeah.
That's very popular
Mm.
among my family members.
Yeah. I mean, it's been interesting. So,
Are you doing what? Acquisition of people or growth as in product growth?
Growth as in user acquisition mostly.
Acquisition,
So yeah, we do marketing. We do like both brand marketing and product marketing. I also worked on the performance side of things. So like scaling the ads and UA and stuff. And just like the old boring stuff of.
But is Moose in Singapore? So it's a purely new.
We in that area we're based in Malaysia, but we also have users in Singapore.
So where is it originally from?
It started in the UK actually. So
Ironically.
head office is in London. Up until now, we're actually quite big in the European and US markets. I guess like with Muslim majority countries like Indonesia or Malaysia, we don't have issues finding someone.
Someone throw away there's a Muslim.
Yeah, Muslims just can just meet someone every day, while in Western countries like the UK or France even, like it's a lot more challenging for them to find someone who's like of the same religion and has same values, share a life vision, etc. So the presence of Mus actually became quite a lucrative solution for them.
So is that how you met Sufi through Moose?
I wish.
I don't know.
Is that a gay version for Moose?
No, of course not. I mean, it's
Bro,
it's a joke. It's okay.
I know.
gay version for Moose.
Yeah,
it's gotta be weird for sure.
If it's a gay version, then it would be called the muzzle.
Oh, Goose. It's called Goose. The Gus. Oh, cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I am actually. I remarried, so my first one went to it turned into a dumpster fire. But I got remarried last year in July, so it's almost a year now.
Did you find your better half on Moose?
No, I didn't even use apps like that. Like, I was so busy working. I met my now partner at the office. So we were working together for almost 6 years by
Oh,
then.
you did Moose real life, MRL. Hey,
Yeah.
how come you've not been a user of Moose, and how will you run growth without actually being a user?
Yeah,
of Moose?
that was my
Yeah.
next question. Like,
Hmm.
The first thing I did when Shaz, the CEO, reached out and we had a conversation was I sat down with my wife. I was already married, like it was like 4 or 5 months ago.
Hmm.
I sat down with my wife and we both created an account just to get like a feel of the user experience. I think that's always like a big part of trying to market something. The first thing you have to understand is what are you trying to market. So we sat down for about like 2 hours. We scrolled through profiles of like men on her side, women on my side, and we sort of like play around with features. We bought into Must Gold, which is sort of like the premium tier of the service. So we both like just signed up for Must Gold and then started using the features like giving compliments and liking people, etc. So yeah, I mean that's how I got the product experience. And then like a couple of weeks later, while I was in the hiring process, I found out that one of my cousins actually found someone through Mus. So like I sat down with them and just sort of like hear his stories and stuff. Now, when speaking to friends, surprisingly, there are a lot of Mus users in my circle. So I have a lot of friends in India, for example, engineers and product people who, as soon as they saw my post that I was joining Mus, like they reached out and they said that they've been using Mus in India to find people to get to know, to sort of like to get around the Rishta culture there. They would rather use an app and meet female directly rather than go through their aunts or their moms. And so yeah. For me personally, I'm still trying to understand the markets. It's been quite an interesting journey. Like we see different characteristics in Indonesia and Malaysia, where females are more outspoken. They know exactly what they want. They're more active on the app. So with these countries, it's a lot more difficult to get men on board. Whilst in like countries like Pakistan and India, it's the other way around. So women are more conservative. They're, usually their mom or their aunts or sometimes their dads are the ones looking for matches for them. So
Hmm.
we started targeting the moms. We created events for amis. We invited them into the process. We have a chaperone feature in which like moms or parents or walis, we call it in Islam, can just be part of that whole like getting to know people and matchmaking experience. And we were starting to see good traction from those countries.
So it's a matchmakers that have their own login for themselves as well. If you're a matchmaker, you can.
Yeah, so
Oh,
with
that.
Pakistan, it was a very interesting experiment that we did. So usually, like uh, aunties and moms have their WhatsApp groups where like they share profiles of their kids or their nieces or their nephews. So what we did was we invited them to a dinner, quite a luxurious one, and we introduced Mas. And sort of the tweak that we did then was instead of sharing the photos of your kids and having to explain who they are and their backgrounds, etc., it's a lot easier to just share a must link. So your kids can just create a profile, choose their own pictures, have bios and all that, and then once you have the share link, you can share it via the WhatsApp groups and stuff. And it caught on because every time someone would share a must link in a new WhatsApp group, like people, hey, how do I open this? And then they would download the app and they would go through the registration process and the activate the chaperone feature, etc. So it's been catching on quite well in Pakistan.
Cool. How's Indonesia looking?
Yeah, as I mentioned, like the struggle here is more on bringing men on board. Men, especially in Indonesia and Malaysia, if I may add. I think whenever they see an app for serious relationships, for like marriage thing, because that's how we position us. We're not really a dating app. We're a marriage app. They are a lot more reserved. Maybe like the burden of being married and the thought of like providing, etc. It's a lot more challenging for men. So yeah, we're still trying to figure out the best way to communicate with men and just get them on board.
Well, why don't you get a nice, handsome guy like Sufi as your poster child?
Yeah, unfortunately, he's married. Otherwise, I'll have
No,
like
you can say I found my wife on
Right.
Moose.
find
Not
Sufi
put
a
him as
wife,
your.
and then I'll put him in.
No, no.
I think it's less risky to use you, Rukesh,
Uh,
because you're not married, and we can
After-
just say that
then
you're
they
you're,
find
you're
out.
Muslim
They find out I'm not Muslim. Huh?
and Hind lah, Hind.
Then the wali all come and look for me and I say, hey, no, this guy not Mus. It's not Toro. How? Yeah, so no, but it's interesting because I think I find that men is harder than women. Because
Yeah.
I always thought women always had their.
That was my assumption going in as
Yeah.
well.
But not in a bit more, lack of a better word, sophisticated countries like Indonesia and Malaysia, in comparison to Indonesia, in comparison to India and Pakistan, where women are a lot more conservative. If they're not married, they're very conservative.
Yeah.
Women here use Tinder, Tinder, Bumble, everything, just name it,
Yes.
Legal, everything is being used very heavily. So they're very used to it. Same goes with men. And men use it as hookup apps.
Yep.
So now to suddenly kind of have an app for serious marriage is a bit too daunting.
Daunting. That's true.
But wouldn't be the same comparison. Just to counter argue, it wouldn't be the same as Shari.com, which has been around for almost 30 over years. Where that site is not a dating app or it's just basically a marriage app. Really means Shari.com. That's what it is, where you put in your CVs and CVs with matches. One could be from India, one Singapore, US, whatever. And the only purpose is to get married. And it's a very similar copy and paste.
Generally, Shadi.com is used by parents.
Yeah,
Generally.
but that's how early adoption. I'm thinking for Ary, is your walis and your parents who get in place.
Yep.
Just because I don't Muslim wedding is not very where you go on 5 dates and you figure the guy out, right? You normally the parents who agree and then you guys carry on, right?
And I think it adds to that level of enforcement. I
Yeah,
think there are many apps that say that okay, this is for marriage, but it ends up as a hookup app, right? LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn. I'm not affected because in terms of algorithms, if we go that way, then of course the algorithms will favor us. But then again, if you do it professionally, right, then all's good. But over on the other side of the world, especially, there's a lot of complaints. Men just
but Sufi, the argument will be different, right? Because LinkedIn is not just purely a profession; it's a networking site. For example, if the overarching goal for most is the religion first and everything then after, that is a whole different argument, right? If religion is just religion, and then you can just combine and you put Sharia banking inside, you can put whatever bank, you can just expand the whole product range. Right? If you make it purely a Muslim focused thing, then everything else is just a suite of product, right?
Yeah.
For example, right? So you can book your Hajj tour, you can book your this, you can book your wedding hall, whatever that maybe Ary might have already lined up in the future. But first is getting people to actually have a use case that they actually met and got married through either wali or through their own personal connection, through a friend who can recommend, or there's got to be tiers to it, right? I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But they all got to be Muslim first, right?
I think it's very simple. Just get Auntie Sima as your ambassador.
For whoever pays the most, she'll do it. She doesn't need apps. She got a black book, It's called
culturally, it's always going to be both interesting and challenging, especially with different markets across Asia.
Yeah, exactly.
We always say that the app is created to be deleted as quickly as possible. So we want people to meet and just go through the commotion of getting to know each other, getting their parents to know each other, and then going on to getting married. We actually have a continuation of that, which we call Mus Social. It's more of a community thing, so people can still meet like-minded people and have conversations in a safe and very, very well managed space. But the focus right now for Asia is just the matchmaking part. So making sure that we are well positioned to help people who struggle to find a good match.
Cool.
And I like that objective of just making sure people kind of not use the app anymore. So you're not focused on retargeting.
Yeah.
Or referring, yeah, retargeting, yeah.
Mm.
But retargeting can be, no, actually, Ary, you can retarget. And you mean you can't? Of course you can. You have to
No,
retarget.
but I know what she means. So retargeting is more for bringing singles back to the platform. It still happens. There are singles who are very excited in the beginning, but then
That's your drop off, like basically your drop off. Yeah.
but I mean, after a while, trying to find a good match, it's still challenging for a lot of people, so that they sort of like dropped off, and we still trying to re-engage them and give them
And
help.
why is the drop off? What is the reason you drop off anyway? Is it because the ease of use, not enough girls, not enough men?
Usually it's not really about not enough users. It's more like you have certain expectations, and when you start seeing the profiles and you see that the profiles don't match your expectations, you sort of like get discouraged a bit. The problem is sometimes like there's a mismatch between what you expect and what actually what people expect of you. So that's another big problem that we're trying to solve with, especially with male in countries like Indonesia and Malaysia. So when they create profiles, that it's just like one picture, very lousy one, no description. It's like they just want to go through the registration process as quickly as possible.
Then you can set the bar, right? Like how coffee beats bagel, and what the slightly more also once you need at least 3 display pictures, link your social accounts, you have to,
Yeah,
you can't just stick
it's
around, just put an email address and go in.
exactly. A
It's
lot
not
of
it's
the
not Tinder,
market,
yeah.
a lot of the market education has to be directed towards that way. Like this is like if you're looking for a serious partner, they need to know who you are, what your interests are. Like you have to be honest, and you have to like start conversations, etc. So so when they don't have a complete profile, it becomes a lot more difficult to match them with the people that they match with.
Yeah, but don't list them, then, bro. So you got to be 95% complete before you list
But
them.
the thing here is like, okay, for me, right? One of the things that is sort of like it blocks my scalability for content is that I don't take pictures.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't take pictures. And you can't blame a guy for not taking pictures. And when you want to go through, when you want to present something, then they would be going through all their albums or whatever, physical albums, versus the scroll. And then then they'll be picking the old ones or the ones which look good. That is
Yeah.
just focus on the picture itself. So of course, I think you will definitely get a fair share of a bigger share of pictures coming from the girl side.
Yeah.
And it is a telling clue, right? If a guy has a lot of pictures, what kind of personality he has.
He's a Gus. But my
Rukesh,
point
you
is,
got a lot of pictures, no, Rukesh.
of course, I do a lot of content. What do you think? You think I just
No,
sit
but
down and
you bring up a very good pain point that you can actually fix. So you can
Yeah.
actually run events, for example, on personal branding, but almost like LinkedIn does it a lot. I mean, everybody LinkedIn does it. So you can actually run little mini events where how to actually up your game on actually creating good content. How to position yourself a lot better to be a lot more attractive, and you can even do a quick photo shoot. Like 5 minutes, each person get a nice headshot.
Well, Angeline, but I agree with you. As a guy who's a professional guy on dating, I'm not a moose, who've probably tried everything in the market up to today. And that's why probably I'm still single. I can tell you something. I don't think it's so much the picture. Any man can send a picture and post it up on any site, but just the quality of sites changes as you age, right? So now, me when I was 20 was Tinder, and now I'm giving you secrets, by the way. Now you're 40, that's a different app altogether, right? So
Tinder wasn't around when you're in your 20s.
it was. They didn't invite you, Angeline. I was in it. You weren't there. So what I'm saying is that maybe like if you guys just qualify, maybe the people like Sufi said, the guys without the 2-3 photos, maybe they're not your target guys because these guys don't have 2 or 3 pictures of themselves. You think they will engage on your app? I highly doubt they engage on your app. They probably show up once a month or once every 3 months. So they can stay around as a profile, but after a while, profiles also becomes dormant, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So guys who are slightly more active, who are actually looking to get married, they actually will make an effort to take a picture and put it up there.
That's true.
So I say 2 things can be right. What Sufi said could be right, but also what I say could be right. Because I don't really necessarily take pictures of myself. But I'm sure people take pictures of us in a group. It happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so you can put a group picture out so people also can see what kind of friends you hang out with. That also helps. But the other thing is, it's making sure that not so much the 3 photos. I think that's important, but also adding in information like their social handles where you can see other pictures of them.
Yes.
I mean,
That's.
Ari, I think I'm preaching to the choir, but you know what I'm saying. Just fill up the whole.
I totally understand the point. I
Yeah.
mean, like the impact of that is not so much about pictures or appearance. Like when they don't have a complete profile, like women within the app has high expectations. So like they want to like the expectations are high enough that if they see like an incomplete profile, someone who doesn't look like they mean it to be there, they don't have the intent to like get married, like to build
Exactly.
a serious relationship,
Exactly.
they just they reject the men. And that's why men with high expectation don't really match with girls that they want, because they're not making an effort, they're not showing intent that they want to be there and meet like good women. And so that imbalance is something that we definitely are trying to address.
Yeah, I think I just a similar experience I share with, not similar at all. It's not a Moose app, but it's a very similar app we launched in Indonesia. We just at that point in time we made so the barrier of entry was so low. It's a food app because we think everybody eats, right? We created an app, just put your email address and or your social sign in or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Straight up, you'll get everything you want. But then when we had these 2 million, 5 million people, when 80% of them are rubbish. And out of 20%, you're probably converting 2% out of them.
Yeah.
Then we say, no, let's make this a bit more stringent. Let's put a credit card, sign up with a credit card. So we made things harder and harder and harder to a point that you are not doing, pick up our acquisition rates of, say, we're doing like maybe 30, 50, 80 a day. And so those kind of numbers were starting to get worried by our investors. So they got, how come it's from doing 100,000 people a day and now you're doing 30, 50, 80? Because we qualified the people. Now,
Yeah.
instead of 20%, now we got about 40% of our clientele are qualified, or they're engaging with the content they're putting, they're engaging with the product.
And I would actually, in your position, I would actually do that rather than
Yeah.
mass user acquisition,
Yeah.
because
Because
the
sometimes,
value of individual users will be a lot lower.
and with the whole thing, the feed, this whole FOMO thing, right? If they saying that, hey, you didn't qualify to get the Moose. Oh, that means you're not our type of, no, you're not the best in class, So you brand it completely differently. Like, this thing called Millionaires app. So you only can date girls, can only enter if you're a millionaire, you got a good bank statement. I don't know what fucking give you, yeah. So there are things that they have. So if you have all those stuff, then you qualify. There could be like 50 girls in there at any point, and these girls are they're all gold diggers. But you get the point. The man takes a very long time to make sure you qualify.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
So if you wanna, and it's so exclusive that you got to wait 6 months to get an invitation to join, and then so yeah. But after you get woman every day, but before that, the 6 months you're dry. Until you're approved, you got to sit down and hope for the best. Yeah. But anyways,
That's true.
but yeah, because dating is absolutely one of the funniest thing. I know guys who fake it, who add fake profiles. Companies who do it, add fake profiles just to boost up numbers.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot. But this is the traditional apps, like the Tinders and your Bumbles and all that. They do that very often, and they're all owned by one company, by the way. I can't remember.
Match Group,
Yeah.
which is our biggest competitor.
Yeah, they're all owned by one company. So they know exactly how to put steroids into any certain platform at any given point. Right?
That's true.
Yeah. So it's called Love Something. What do you call this? It's Asian people who run it, by the way.
Yeah, for Asia, I think Match Group's app,
Now,
especially
Match,
for Muslims.
no, the founders of Match are two Asian girls.
Yeah, I did not know that.
No wonder they're still single. Yeah, they're very particular, but they're Asian men.
Are you making any moves or?
On them, no, I don't know who they are. I haven't seen them on the app yet. Yeah. But they own 90% of the dating scene on the dating apps, right?
Yeah,
They own 90%.
they're
Yeah.
huge. And they have like specialized apps. Like with us, it's Salam, which got acquired I think not too long ago.
Yeah.
But like they have apps for like Hispanics in the US. They have apps like very very specific,
Exactly.
niche markets. And
Angie, you're talking about the Christian dating. They also have a farmers dating, in the US, where rural farmers,
Yeah.
farmers. So south, if you're south, if you're a girl who likes farmers, you can do farmers dating.
Wow.
You got even Republican dating, is if you are a MAGA.
Yeah.
You also in contact with other MAGAs. It's a lot of things. Like all
That's
kind of
cool.
niche you can think of. Yeah. So yeah, pretty cool. And they're all owned by one company.
One group.
Yeah.
So enough about dating. How are things on your side?
Who you talking to? Me, Angie, Sufi, or
I know you're trying to find someone, but I don't think this is the time or the place.
I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to find. Make me sound so desperate. I got phone. It works. Yeah. I don't need to depend on yours. But if it depend on yours, I must go and join a monastery and pray. But no, my side, no, mine nothing much. Bro. So what I do is I run an agency. We run a venture fund, and we run a securities fund, building banking apps for a lot of banks in tier 2, tier 3 cities. Majority of my business comes, my day-to-day income comes basically from additional MSA job, but there are fractional roles that I run for companies independently. And venture fund is something we started 2016, I believe, 2017. And we did a bit of 14 over portfolio companies we invested in Indonesia. And somehow, I don't think up to 14, maybe 2 or 3 are doing well. The rest are just sucking my blood. But also, that's fine because they don't bother me. Honestly, they don't. They go figure out their own problems, right? And then, but this is years ago. I'm talking about almost 8 years ago, right? And besides now, I just bother Angie's and Sufi's life. Hey, very content, 1 hour. That's it.
Yeah.
But hey, I came back from a very interesting. I was in Cambodia Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Came from a very interesting conference in Phnom Penh where they're launching tech for good kind of movement. Where they're building ecosystems for be a foreigner or whether you're Cambodian. So you guys to go and build tech ecosystems up there. And it's completely funded by the Cambodian government.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's anything. Could be dating for Muslims, could be dating for warlords, dating for corruption. You're a corrupt politician, you can also date for your own type. It's a lot of matchmaking that's going on there, but they're building tech for good, like a very similar thing we have in Singapore, Sufi. I think you might be familiar. Where like a GovTech, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like what they are building is very similar to that, and they are launching it now as well.
Just a question. Since you've gone there, and since you were in the scene, you have been in the scene, right? When governments build this type of ecosystems, do they set expectations on which industry or which particular thing to target on?
You propose, bro. You propose. So you come with the idea. You say, this is the market space I'm looking at. This is the holes I'm trying to plug. And I need about 3 or 4 years to get this done. I need this assets, this talent, this team, and all that. And then I'm requesting about, say, $500,000 or $50 million, whatever your problem you're plugging. And then if it's approved, they give you the cash level.
It's only cash. Do they also give kind of like, skill enhancement, guidance?
If I were you, Angie, I'll just take the cash. And you figure out your best. No, honestly, I mean, in my opinion, because I've tried this in Indonesia before. Because when I was doing it, I think Joko just came into power, Jokowi, yeah. Because before that was a guy, because Indonesia's evolved quite a lot. And I think I shared it used to be a manufacturing-based economy where we are printing shoes, making t-shirts, we're selling all that. That's our biggest economy. Palm oil, natural resource, whatever rubbish. And then when Joko came in, when it's 2016, I think he came into power. When he started to move to a knowledge-based economy, right? So I happened to be in the right place, right time in Indonesia. So he was investing more to digital, us actually owning knowledge-based, sending kids to school, university for STEM, for science, technology, engineering, and math. And digital was coming into play, where we all became, you wanted all of them to be business owners instead of being staff in factories, or being a staff in a hotel, or being a staff in a restaurant, or building your own warung, whatever. That's not the biggest goal, yeah? The goal of them all to be, so, and then there's a lot of money being played around. Of course, a lot of corruption, but when Joko came in, that became the play. That's how guys like Gojek came about, Doko came about, Tokopedia. All your guys came around the time, Crave as well. We all came there. And all these monies were, we raised it privately, but Gojek and all these guys got heavily funded by a government-linked company. Today, they call it Darantara today, right? It's not a sovereign wealth fund. Back in the days, it was basically, the minister, you ask him, he'll give you. That's how it worked, right? You don't have to pay him back, don't worry. But it looks nice under his portfolio. Now we've done this, we've done that, we've done this, we've done that. And I think that move has completely radicalized where Ary is sitting today in 2025 saying, I'm building I'm doing growth on the Moose app. Then back there, you asked in 2014, it's barely on Wi-Fi that works in the office. You're very lucky Wi-Fi works. Right? So we used to make sure that we go to a Starbucks because, because but it's true. But today it's evolved to all these guys building tech stuff, building things for 254 million people. It's a lot more engaged capacity. I think it's the highest mobile pickup rate in Southeast Asia, if I'm not wrong. Really, it's the bigger thing. So almost each person almost has 2 phones if you divide it in Indonesia. I think it's 500 million mobile app users, 4 telcos. So all these things came into play, right?
Yep.
And then, so I think that's the space that it is today. But you asking me, you want to ask the government for skill up and step up programs? Bullshit. Give me the cash. I'll send my boys to San Fran. I'll get my product guys to go to Palo Alto. I'll send my guys to learn from the best instead of sitting on here and studying like a My Skills Future or Careers Future bullshit. So that's what I would normally do. Yeah. I don't disagree with it, but I'm just saying that it's not something I would do. If they're going to give $50 million, take the $50 million.
And
But
these
why?
are they giving out grants? Are these grants?
No, you don't have to pay them back. It's fine. If you fail, you
Yeah.
fail. But, if you made it, then yeah, of course, then they of course they invest more into it.
Mm.
But my question is why? Why would you take that? I mean, if okay, let's just say I'm just being selfish, putting myself in the context, right? So I want to become a founder. I found something. I found a problem. I got a solution, and I want some funding, or I want some skilling up. What are perhaps the factors that would push me towards taking the money versus going on a skill focused growth?
Oh, that's individual, Sufi.
Individual.
It's individual, bro. If you choose, you need more networking. You need to know more people in the space. You want to feel like, then of course you would choose going to the Skills Future or whatever rubbish like they call it, because you meet people in the same space or probably in the same level. But you're already someone who's done it before. Why bother sitting through this when you can just, unless your prerequisite is to go and sit through this, then of course you have to stuck time and sit through it.
Yeah.
If it's not a prerequisite, take the cash and start building, because revenue matters more, or the product matters more than sitting down for 6 months learning how shit happens.
Yeah.
Because I give you a choice. Would you rather spend $200,000 on an MBA, or if I give you $200,000 to build a business? You will learn the business, but in MBA you get your 25 classmates. Which one do you want? It's a good toss-up, right?
Yeah.
You can learn your MBA in 6 months.
Yeah.
That's what I believe anyway. Like I said, it's individual.
It with regards to business also, I think there's no good time to start, right?
Of course, yeah.
So you just do it, and then you tweak along the way. Versus the other side of the wall where people look for the right time and look for the perfect moment, and look for being 100% before the launch. So yeah.
It's never gonna be 100%.
It's never be 100%. Your product market fit will never be perfect.
Yeah.
A
No matter-
mentor of mine used to say, like, starting a business is like jumping out of an airplane and then figuring out how to build
Fixing a parachute.
on your way down.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Like, it's every day. It's some firefightings, a lot of problem solving, definitely a lot of like sitting down and thinking things through, making sure that everything works. So yeah, there's never a good time. I mean, the perfect time to start a business is now. Like, as soon as you have an idea mature enough, I think that's the only threshold. Like, some business ideas aren't mature enough that if you start it won't work, simply because you don't have the knowledge of the market, you don't have the product figured out, etc. But to expect it to be at 100% before you start is just it's impossible.
Well, also I got it. Also, Ary, I think that is a better time to start, not a perfect time to start. It might be a better time, depends on your own personal circumstances.
Yeah.
Nothing is always, like, hey, fuck my kids and wife. I'm just going to do this. Like, it doesn't normally work that way. Right?
That's true.
You got to see your own circumstances, whether you can plow in 110% when you're building it. If you don't have the chance to put 110% behind building that baby as well, then you expect to fail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
true.
Yeah, and that depends if it's a tech product or a service product or whatever that you're trying to build. It could be a think tank that we have right now, which doesn't require 110%. Imagine if all of us could sit here with 110% and just sit down and talk shit. I think we all go mental, right? So yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So it's not really. It takes a bit of work. Trust me, it does. And also the fear of failure is another thing as well. So all of us have very different risk management, right? I fear failure a lot. I really do. More than I fear building the perfect product. For me, failure was more important. So I think it depends how I looked at it. So Digital Agent couldn't fail. So I would try 300,000. Maybe I was wrong on 299,000 of it, but I want to make sure at least one of it sticks, right?
Yeah.
So that experience is something that I think I went through, that we couldn't fail. My biggest concern was that. But there are other guys who say, no, let's shoot for the moons and let's go. Because I used to be I'm very pragmatic today, but you ask me back in the day, I say, fuck it, let's go. But now you ask me, I say, go, hold on. let's all sit down, we discuss, draw your plans, and we know. But if you ask me 10 years ago, fuck that, let's go, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the other part about it. And a lot of it's done to personality as well. So I really think it's individual personality.
Yeah.
Different founders are different.
Comes with the age also lah.
Definitely the age. Being calm, being calm, not screaming at your staff, hoping your staff stays
I
with
was
you.
trying to go there, but
Yeah, but I think the guys here at least have gone beyond a certain age.
Angie used to run. No, let me hold on. Angie ran a bigger, larger agency than mine, and she was running. Well, how many countries? 3, 4?
Two.
Two.
With, so
A much bigger agency than mine. I don't know what she went through, but I'm sure the level of running an agency is a whole different ballgame. But Angie, I'm leaving this to you to take on from here.
hello, welcome to the talk. So
Great segue, gentlemen. Fantastic.
it's like how he just kind of so yeah, I built my career in comms, predominantly in comms, always on the agency side, never been in-house on client side right up to now. And then, after getting really tired for working for people in agency, in my industry is a dog eat dog world. It's very cutthroat. You work 16, 18 hours a day. It's tough. So after doing all that and doing the grind, I decided to do more of the grind. So I joined in partnership with my now still partner to build this agency called Mad Hat Asia. So Mad Hat Asia, built from zero to, when I left, 8-figure revenue, over from 2 people to 40 people over Malaysia and Singapore. At that time, the only agency in my industry, that Malaysian agency that opened up in Singapore, because generally it's the reverse. Bigger markets coming to smaller markets, higher currency coming to lower currency. We flipped it a little bit because there was a huge market. We wanted to move into becoming the largest, strongest creative comms agency across 5 markets: Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines. And by the time I left, that vision had slightly changed. It was getting quite tough to run across 2 markets also. We were in the midst of trying to acquire an agency in Indonesia.
Could have called me that. I was sitting right there waiting for anyone.
It was hard to
If
go
somebody made the call, I was 100%.
it was hard to go in there and build from scratch. Indonesia is a whole different animal altogether. It goes to Thailand. So okay, let's acquire. But I think at that point I was tired. I was actually very tired because I was the general manager, so I was doing all ops, all client acquisition, all training, and it looking at P&L all day long. And then I think once you hit 8-figure, 40 people, having to worry about people's salaries in the middle of COVID, heavily pregnant, it's tough. But we still the company is still doing very well. I still own shares. But I decided that that's not for me after some time. That sexiness of being a founder, running, grinding.
Oh, how boring is that, Angeline? I hear kids nowadays, I'm a founder, co-founder.
All that glam was not so glam anymore.
It never is.
Oh my God. Oh, now you're CEO. How big's your office? 3 of us. CEO, fancy titles these kids come out nowadays.
And I think it was getting boring. After some time, it was getting boring for me because when you're up there, when I say up there, it's actually quite low. It's you're at your lowest point when you're at your highest point, I feel.
I agree. Yep.
That quote came from me, by the way, in case you're wondering.
You started a code. I didn't see in the startup Bible.
Add that in there.
Okay.
Is that you get like for me, I'm a creative crafts person. I like to write, I love client servicing. When you strip that all away and you just run a company and look at Excel sheets, it's no longer fun. Your creativity gets killed.
I feel that.
Yeah, and I think when you run an agency, what next? You can't regress into doing. It just doesn't look good.
But
Sure.
funnily enough, we were hiring for. I don't know if I should disclose this, but we were hiring for a marketing specialist for a few countries, and I had 3 CEOs applying for a specialist job. So that was quite a surprise.
Hey, Ary, since you brought that up, you got 3 fantastic marketing guys sitting around you. Why don't you just give Ediform Musing
You
a
know
shot,
what, guys? My budget,
Hey,
my
how much would
budget
I-
isn't
Sufi,
that
how much would you
high.
charge?
I'm not
Sufi,
even close to pay you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah,
I'm not expensive. I charge in ringgit.
you got the brains, the beauty, the sales. What do you want? What do you want? How much you want to charge?
I wouldn't even imagine hiring Sufi. That would not be
Hello.
Oi.
You're hiring Ediform Musing, not Sufi. You put Angie and I together, you won't be able to afford anything. Not even the chair on your back. But we do special today, 7 juta, 10 juta.
And
yeah.
funny, Ary, you bring that up because I think when I was in that limbo of like, hey, where do I go? What do I do? Blah, blah, blah. Naturally, the jobs that I was getting were other running agency jobs. Like, okay, go come be a GM or a CEO or MD. Step up, be an MD. Bigger agencies and all that. That was the jobs I was naturally attracting. But those are the jobs I was really repelling because I'm like, no,
that's true.
I might as well just stay here because this is my own.
Yeah.
But then when I started knocking doors at like doing, marketing director roles, comms director roles, branding, marcom, they were like, oh, you're overqualified. I'm like, what does that even mean?
And that's true.
But Ange question,
It means you're too expensive for them. Let's be honest.
Ange, quick question. Do you enjoy doing work for corporates more? Do you enjoy doing work for startups more?
Startups. I'm a startup girl. I've always been a startup girl. I think the only big agency I ever worked with was Ogilvy. Hated it, ran away after a year. I couldn't do all the red tapes. I couldn't do the brown nosing. I couldn't do the less work, let's more flex, let's talk, let's wayang. I couldn't do that.
How about client wise?
I don't like startup clients.
They don't pay, right?
They pay pittance. They want the sky and the moon and everything in between. I prefer SME stage onwards, lah. So now, what I do is I work for myself. I'm my own boss. I'm my own coolie.
And choose your client.
I pick my clients.
Depends how many you get a month, like you get 1 day.
I barely pay the bills, but it's okay.
Choose your client. That's it. One more list.
Must be optimistic, right?
Yeah, whatever they come, we see how much they pay, then we choose.
And then,
but
I have been very blessed to get very long-term retainer roles. For the past 2.5 years, I've been running on a lot of retainers, so that's been good, keeping me afloat. I've been doing a lot more fractional work as a content strategist, as a CMO. So like right now, I'm the fractional CMO of an American baby brand. I've never stepped into the stall. I don't know jack shit about America. But you know what? Mothers are mothers. Same problem, just different geographical locations. So it's been fun. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Just my own thing.
Now we end up with the champion of the year.
Yeah.
Right
on to you,
you ready, Sufi? Ready.
Why suddenly it shifts to me?
Well, we just finished all 3 of us anyway.
Those were introductions.
No, this was just the concessions. Wait, yours is going to be proper.
But first and foremost, I am nowhere. I'm like here.
I know. Stop. Yeah, stop.
But you can sell ice to an Eskimo. So
correct.
That's all that matters.
Correct. So I think
got no money lah. They just got seal meat lah.
I know. Exactly. I can read 3, but what I want to say something is like on an establishment level, I think Sufi was the first one I think I reached out before. Actually, no, it was Angie first, then I read Sufi. But I think Sufi, was a very interesting career that I think really took me back quite a bit. I think Ary, you might know this, Angie, you definitely know. But how the transition happened from where he started to becoming a tech sales leader. I said, what the fuck? Dude, I surrounded by tech, even I don't know how to record a fucking Google Meet.
But it's not too different from hustling prisoners to hustling.
But you're not selling things to prisoners, right? You're selling ideas, not products.
I'll address that in my. Okay, first and foremost, okay, let's get this straight. I mentioned prison because I think it is more compelling than taking care of babies, because that's where I started from, right? So I was an assistant teacher in a speech and drama school. That was right after national service, but I didn't know what to do. And this was eons ago. I'm like nearly 50 right now. But then again, that's where I think it all started in terms of interacting with people. So
Hey guys, give me 1 minute. Sufi, I'm listening to you. Don't worry. Yeah. Give me 1 minute. Yeah.
So with regards to that, I think and since there, I was like, you know what? You don't have a degree, you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have skills that you need to survive in the corporate world or in the world outside. I think the best skill to take away from all of this is to communicate well. So that's what I focused on, right? I made sure that my messaging was clear in terms of normal communication, right? And I made sure I listen well. I think that's a habit which I've had since a long time ago, right? And then one day while I was walking along Dhoby Ghaut, and I was like, I was just passing by YMCA building, and then there was an advertisement. We need prison officers kind of advertisement. So I just stopped by, went for the interview, and I got the role, right? So that's how I landed landed the job as a prison officer. I mean, at that point of time, also I was like, you know what, Sufi, stop going to these apps lah, right? Whatever dating apps. Let's hone in on somebody and then let's get married. So the traditional approach of a Singaporean guy who wants to get married, get a stable job, and uniform is always stable, one way or another. That's how people portray it. So I did that for about 8 years, right? But truth be told, during these 8 years, by the third year, I was bored as hell, right? I looked for different postings throughout the last 5 years, and interestingly enough, I did a lot of event emceeing, ministry events, organizational events, all related to the prisons department. At some time, some people from the ministry, MHA, would identify me. Hey, this guy can do our stuff. That's where I hosted long, boring events. And other than that, I think I dropped off. I'm like at the eighth year, I was like, no, there's nothing else for me. So I just jumped. I went into insurance. Did well in the first year, but I couldn't retain my clients. I could hunt, but I could not cook and serve the food, right? So after that, I moved into corporate sales, event sales, and during one of my stints, I learned marketing. So I was the sales director, and then there's a marketing director. She was just sitting beside me, this American lady. I was looking at her every day. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? So I just started to learn Facebook ads and stuff like that. And that's where I was like, hey, what I'm doing door to door, this kind of, I'm the salesperson. I go door to door. I'm like, so marketing can actually amplify this approach. It's a loud hailer. It's like, and it's social media. At that point of time, that was 2012, 2011, right? Fast forward 2 years ahead, I was without a job for a good one year plus. And then I found, because of my marketing experience, right, that whatever that I've learned in that stint, I found a job with this company called Digimind, right? So we were doing social listening, and I got so interested in that because whatever that we see on social media, I'm the kind of person whereby why do you behave that way? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And it speaks about how I was in the business department. I would always talk to people or inmates. And then on a regular basis, not interviewing them officially, just having casual talks. But the talks which lead to why are you like this? Why are you like that? Why did you commit the crime? Did you commit to land over here? Right? Why did you come back 8 times? Right? And why is your son on the upper floor? Your wife is at the women's prison, and why are you here? And then who's taking care of the other people? So these are the kind of things that there's a lot of whys that I ask. And in particular with regards to social media, I asked a lot of whys too. So
No, but did that also build up a lot more EQ that you require
it did.
in
It
the
did.
yeah? So the interest or the care for people, for example,
Yeah,
right?
it did. And one thing that I detect, right, moving into this sales role is that a lot of people do not have EQ. A lot of people. Let's talk about Singapore, for example. I think
No, but Sufi, let's go back to this. Let's go back to this. No, let's go back to the marketing thing.
Okay.
Because that's how social listening happens. So I
Yeah.
think the EQ that you raise from understanding, listening, talking to everybody, you try to get one common denominator or what the main core of a problem is, or what could be cause of issues, so be it societal, be it personal, whatever, right? That these people came to jail, and now does it matter when it says to marketing on social platforms or social listening platforms, be it your Meltwater, your HubSpot, whatever rubbish you get, your Google Analytics. So that's it. Is that translate to, or is it just? Is that why your interest in data analytics comes from?
Yes. Because okay, so the answer is yes. That's why that's what linked me to social listening and grounded me into social listening more. And okay, so a lot of people are saying, well, data-driven decisions. Yes, I agree to a certain extent that data-driven decisions are good, but then again, there's always that layer of data where you put EQ in, and you cannot find it blatantly shouting at you on from social media itself, but you need to understand the patterns of all these.
Okay, so we call it the EQ is the content, the artwork. Okay, that's the EQ. The IQ is the defining of the numbers that comes in. So when you marry both, it kind of builds a perfect model that we call it, right? It's not that. No, so did the EQ drive the IQ portion, or were you still juvenile at that stage, just learning how that works?
No, I think this works both ways, right? You've got to start from somewhere. Somebody who is more towards the IQ, they need to discover or rediscover their EQ. And vice versa, right?
Like Angie said, she loves art. I mean, she loves this brand design, blah. And like, I just don't give a shit. I just love numbers, right?
Very uninspiring.
No, because I mean, it's facts. That's because I love the business side of it, right? And then if you have marry or a person who knows the art side of it, that's how you build a business, right?
So I would like to relate this to sales. That's my core. Right? I know you guys are marketing, right? But then again, I think sales and marketing, this is where this is also the missing link. Okay, why am I successful? I'm not saying that I'm very rich because of sales. No, I'm just successful in selling into these emerging markets, especially in Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, right? So one of the things which, or rather the main core of why I can sell how I sold, right, is because I introduce a lot of EQ, and I introduce a lot of I practice a lot of patience versus whatever that the companies are actually or the corporates are actually pushing. For example, the way Ary was my client, right? And when was that, Ary? 2018,
I think earlier than that.
Earlier than that, right? 2017-ish.
17 or 18.
Yeah. So and the way I spoke to him or discussed with him things was perhaps a little bit different than other people. I'm just putting it in front of him for him to verify right now. Was I different in any way?
But yeah, I mean that's true. I mean I think that was when we started talking even beyond work. Was that as a presentation about his solution, turned into like conversations about so many other things.
Yeah,
that's true.
So see, the thing here is a lot of companies are actually pushing the salespeople to just go for the numbers. But hey, come on, man, we are talking to human beings, right? So if you put some amount of care and concern on the human and on the human facing the situation that they have, the challenge that they have that they want to overcome, every other tool in the market is a solution. But it's the salesperson or the person who they're talking to, the customers are talking to, they are the ones who are the biggest determinants of of how the consumers buy, of how clients buy, right? So it's not about what you are delivering, it's about how you're delivering, and that is translated into marketing too, right? I mean, you look at Singapore. Singapore has the most boring kind of marketing ever, right? I'm so surprised how our People's Action Party, right? The men in white can stay there, right?
No, I'm not going there with you, but yeah.
With just mediocre and
I don't
plain
I don't know
marketing.
Pofma. I don't know Pofma on my.
I'm talking about marketing. I'm not talking about them. But they are still there. They are still there. There are some relationships, of course, when you go historical.
Yeah,
but then again, if you're talking about the quality of marketing,
false equivalency, you can't compare PAP to standard marketing. They don't lose what. So what do you?
I'm not a
What they have
marketer.
to what they have to worry about how fancy their branding is. The elections will still carry on for next 100 years. They will still win anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, no. But I get your point. Yeah.
So that's the thing. I think the one missing portion there is EQ. Companies need to take time to have the sales teams or the marketers themselves to discover who they are, right? And how they can actually relate to the people they're talking to. And I'm talking both for sales and marketing, right? And when you achieve that, then you are able to tell a story. And marketing is telling stories, not putting promotions here and there, right? So that's why I'm coming in from a very passionate standpoint that hey, I'm not blind. I can still see, and I'm seeing a lot of bad marketing going around, right? And that translates to bad sales also, because the leads that comes in from bad marketing is just rubbish. So when that happens, I get affected too. And furthermore, my future, my children will get affected. They're going to be brainwashed by bad marketing. So you need to tell stories, you need to communicate, you need to have that emotional, the human portion of you just stand out, because you are human and you're selling people. That's it, like.
Yeah, that's it. I think what? So radio, okay, cut, everything cut.
That's
I'm out of here, my drop.
Everything 5. As if cut. Drop. No, I just think of so many things, but it's fine. It's fine. I think not all marketing is bad. Marketing is subjective. I keep saying, right? It's very subjective. I can be a snob about it, but I also don't want to think that everyone is bad. If they're reaching their own clientele and their MQLs and the ROIs are all done based on that one campaign, it's fine. It could be rubbish for me, but it could be great for someone else or the people they intend to reach, right? But I think it marries, right? Marketing and sales marry, because today they try to make sales a marketing role, then try to make marketing a sales role. I think that also marries as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think but for me, till today, I still believe you can't marry both together. I think they're both two separate things. There's not one person who's so great at sales that is going to be so perfect at marketing. In my heart, I don't believe you can find that person. If I do, then I'll call Sufi. But at this point, nobody's asked me for Sufi yet.
we might have one right now.
Oh, and yeah, Angeline's still waiting on the bookings. Oh,
I'm not a salesperson.
yeah, me too. I'm great at pitching, but I'm very useless when it comes down to the back end of so there is that certain element of sales, because I need to get the bottom line going, right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we all still need to do BD one point or another. All of us on this call are salespeople, one way or another. It's just it's the different types of sales that we
Exactly.
do, and how passionate we are with being said no to. Sufi obviously is a lot more resilient than the other three of us.
But I think there's some healthy degree of dynamics that needs to happen between sales and marketing, which is
Of course.
like
Of
when
course.
you say, like we need to marry like sales and marketing. That's a good term, because it means there are still two parties involved, but like there's a feedback loop. There are frictions and discussions happening.
Yeah.
Of course.
Just like a marriage, just like a real life.
It has to be. Yeah, it has to marry. I keep saying all the time. Yeah, I think Angie and I might know this because when we go out to pitch, we got to get the creative sorted out, the whole storyline. That all is not something that if you're an account director, if you're a guy going to pitch, would normally have to worry about. You tell them this is a client, so and so is going to you give them the brief, they'll take care. Then they run through this with you for a couple of hours. You don't like it, you change it, whatever. Yeah. And then all you gotta do is go sit down there. You gotta make sure somebody who's sitting there beside you, actually the CD is there beside you, or someone who wrote that whatever campaign is there beside you. Then normally the most good-looking one is either myself or Angie. We're gonna go pitch the whole thing, and then we're close to deal. We walk away. That's it, right? We don't really bother, because I feel one thing that I always say. One thing when emerging markets, Sufi, I don't think it's the substance of the content that you're pitching. I think it's the person, and you're absolutely right when you say this. You know, how they made you feel, and who is the person that came? Is it the owner of the company? For them, that's a big thing. Or the owner came down, not the staff of the owner, you know?
Yeah.
For them, it's a big thing. So all these cultural nuances is huge. I wouldn't have closed 90% of my deals in Asia, especially Indonesia, if I didn't go down, or if Mike, my partner, didn't go down. You know, and Mike's a French guy, white guy. That time, Bule was very good. Bule is super good. Spoke fantastic Indonesian bars and all that. Right? But either one of us were not there, it sucked. And it really wasn't the content of what we were pitching, it was more of what who was there. Yeah. And I think that's a huge part that today, back in Singapore, it doesn't matter who goes there. You know your idea, you're doing it. And like I said, then COVID happened, right? I keep saying, when COVID happened, it equalized everybody. In the agency side of things, everyone's the same now. Everyone's going through the same medium called Zoom. Everyone could be anybody on Zoom. You can change your title to chief director of so many countries. So you can do whatever you want. Because nobody knows who you are on Zoom anyway, right? When it equalized, that's when I felt the difference in how much an impact a personal connection made. Because, it's your company. But don't worry, but we automatically extend for 1 year. Don't worry. We're on renewal for 1 year. But out of that 100%, the new companies that came in, 0. That's really a damning statement. We tried everything, selling hamper before that, buying this for them before the call. We try to make every experience different when you deal with us, right? But we couldn't. When we found out we were all the same, you know how much it sucked for us? So that's one thing I keep saying about having that person. But the first initial 20 customers that we had all renewed their, albeit at a different price point at that point, because everyone budgets went down by 40-50%, but they still carried on the same retainer. Sufi signed up. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah. So, am I done? Sales.
You got more stories, tell me.
No. Just that. I think. Just.
I'm gonna edit everything, so I gotta make sure that more content, the better. The lesser, then is lesser thing for me to put on.
I think with regards to the being the sales leader, although I just led one team, right, which was in my previous establishment. I learned a lot from that experience. But I'm not. I think the other day I was in Jakarta doing my Lead with Clarity masterclass. Then there was a sales leader there. There was a head of Asia sales leader there. He put out a very telling situation with regards to what the landscape is not having quality. There's a lot of salespeople. There's just lack of quality, and there's a lot of salespeople. They're selling the same way. So as a sales leader, or rather perhaps as somebody who's looking at sales more strategically, I think what is lacking is somebody trying to be different. Putting it in your context, Rukesh, you're talking about people not committing during the COVID times because, of course, I mean, they're very cautious. But in the social listening landscape, that is where a lot of companies are actually buying off, albeit the fact that, yes, they ask for a lot of discounts, but they are asking for insights, right? So and this is not for social listening also. I mean, a lot of companies market their products based on the offense, right? But in these situations, right, how you can actually create an offensive by being defensive. So the positioning of the mindset is very important with regards to marketing and the messaging, and that is how I sort of like my marketing didn't say that, but I said that, right? So it goes back to the point of, you know, if you are doing sales, right, you write your own playbook, you write your own rules. I mean, in later perhaps discussions like this, I'll share how I broke rules, right? But I think you need to do that, or else things cannot be done. Things cannot happen. I'm not talking about breaking laws, right? I'm talking about breaking.
It depends where. In Indonesia, we can test the laws. I don't mind testing it, but
So I think that's why when you invited me, when you said, you know, hey, let's do this, I'm like, okay. Then one of the questions I asked you is like, hey, can I write whatever?
Is this legal? I say yes, legal. Bro. It's on Substack.
So basically I've got a lot of things to rent, and I'm taking 84 Musings as a renting platform.
Great, and I think I got Angeline on board in a very similar sales point as well. Yeah, And Ary, yeah, did I? And
I-
I just brought you on because I was drunk. I said, hey, the fuck, this guy looks interesting. Let me call him.
I think,
At,
I think
at
so.
3 in the morning, I was like, fuck it, let's do this.
4
I mean,
a.m.
he caught me at the right
Bro,
time.
whatever lah.
He caught me
3
at the
a.m.,
right
4
time
a.m.,
in
like,
my
yeah.
life because I was actually not the right time in the day, but the right time in my life because I think I was at that stage where no, I want to build authority, but I want to be able to say what I want to say. I want to really kind of have a voice, a stronger voice,
Mhm.
and just be able to speak up my mind. And I somehow felt stifled to do that on LinkedIn.
Mm.
And yeah, I can journal, but nobody's going to read my journal. I want to be able to put it out there, right? No, I'm not sharing my journal with you.
I mean, I thought the article. Yeah.
So it felt liberating to be able to write, to be given a platform where I can just write what I want, I guess. I'm still finding my voice in that space, but I feel less stifled. I feel a little bit more freer.
Mm.
So that's why I'm on board.
Mhm. These fuckers will never give me credit for being the most charming man on the phone ever. Fuck these guys, you know. And Ary, tell me why you were part of 84 anyway.
Wait, before that, okay,
Oh,
fine.
sorry.
I'll give you credit. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need lah.
No,
Don't need to ask law. If I ask for credit, no point lah. Send WhatsApp to the group chat lah. Send WhatsApp. Sorry.
I'm definitely not giving Rukesh the credit. for sure.
Yes, Ary. So why did you decide to jump, kind of join us jokers?
I don't know. It seemed like
Hey,
a
speak
good
for
idea
yourself, lah,
that-
Angeline. Speak for yourself, Angie. Sufi and I and Ary are well-established human beings in our own rights.
Okay.
You got 3 of us to support your work now, yeah?
Honestly, I wasn't thinking straight. It was 3.
Hey, sweet, bro. Makes the
That's the thing.
That's a fist bump, man.
Obviously, Rukesh had a very strong pitch.
I'm good at that. Trust me. I'm
At
good.
3 a.m. My goodness.
Almost 3 or 4, yeah.
It happened so fast, but I think at the end of the day, like,
Sufi, if you can't convince them, just confuse them and they'll say yes anyway, bro.
Either way, they're on board.
yeah,
I found out Ary's in Indonesia. The fastest way I can do this is just like, bro, just get in, bro. Get in now. That's it.
but again, I was thinking that like to find sort of like a similarly rebellious souls in the industry is so rare. I've been having conversations with Sufi for so long, and I know he's on board for the same reason. So that was an easy call for me. Plus, like me having a conversation with Rukesh at 3 a.m. in the morning, I know he's a bit drunk back
Well,
then.
bit, bro. I was off my face, bro. I was off my face.
Like, even then, like,
3
the
a.m. Go to
pitch
sleep,
made sense.
Rukesh.
Oh, I got things to do. I want to like see what you think. I don't check up my 84 music every day when I go to bed. Like, and I need to be extremely motivated to do it.
Yeah,
And alcohol helps. Yeah.
it helped on my part as well. So
No, because I think I know Ary. Like I said, Ary, Angie, and especially my brother Sufi. I mean, without you, this fucking thing is nothing. But I'm gonna add more people in. But I also got to leave it to you guys to choose who you want to add in, because my Rolodex is quite huge, and I think it's us keeping. I think Angie and I had this conversation before. I think it's us keeping what we started as a core, and don't get it too overly complicated. You know.
Cannot lah. Must be exclusive lah.
Exactly. Like once every Tom, Dick, and Harry. No, the WhatsApp group is fine. They don't have to post on our page, right? We can all make friends, right? But so I think the only person left that should join us, in my opinion, is Professor Kanti, who I'm meeting for drinks tomorrow at 5 o'clock. And so yeah, he's leaving June 30th, and he's the last missing cock in this piece, lah. Yeah, and I think that's it. If JC wants to come, he can send us one article a month. I don't mind doing it. Yeah, I think that's about it for now. And also, I think I have a different goal for 84 Music, not just us being like this full-on machine that just puts out content. I think also I want to vary content like this because it's fun. People kind of know who we are. We also have fun and stuff. We all say, you know what, fuck it, we got to do 3 articles, like homework, you know. Fuck. Thursday night, I got to start writing. Now I got to see what to write about. You know, what did Angie write? What Sufi write? I got to tie up the whole week, right? And it's tired, boring, you know. Then Ary, I don't know if you have started writing yet, but you know, it gets a bit, a bit of work.
I think on this call, I want to number one ask Ary when would you like to start. The other thing is, I think we should kind of synchronize what is it that we want to kind of write on. So then at least, there is some cohesiveness, and at least everybody is clear, right, on it. But yes, go on first before we end the call, then we touch on that. But I have
Yeah, exactly. Let's not record this because then I don't want to cut this whole part because it's all ops, yeah. Because I don't know about I know Sufi and I definitely have to smoke. So, but the thing is that what I'm saying is that I believe that no, this is great. I love everything that what we stand for, and also I'm beyond grateful for the time you guys take to do this. Yeah, really, I tell you, I know it takes a lot of work for you guys, from artwork to writing to hoping it makes sense for the week. And I think this is it. I think one more person is Professor Kanti, and we're running from there. I want to try a lot more different content styles. We can do breakaways, for example, Sufi and I alone, or Angie and I alone, Sufi and Angie talking about whatever.
Talking
So
about Rukesh.
yeah, of course, that one don't put there, that one put on Facebook. Of course, somewhere else on that one. Don't put on Substack. Substack do something else. Then like all these kind of things, just break up, and do your things, and then maybe if it makes sense, or you got this other thing I launched called 10 questions with, where I really want to launch. That's with everyone that I meet who I don't think should be part of the platform, but it's good to, ask them 10 questions that anyone would ask them, like what do you love about sales marketing and why do you, whatever. The whole bullshit, have a proper half an hour thing and post it up. So the variance of content matters for me. And then, I think that's that on my side of it. And I think the rest of it is more, let's more fucking kill it, guys. Substack's on a rise. I know it's not a popular thing in Asia. I know our pickup rates are very low, but it's growing. Let's sit on the curve that's going up. So hopefully we get to a point where we can ideally charge for our offerings like Ary is going to do next week. But yeah, example. Like he might send the invoice over to Angie. Angie takes care of the finance in this whole thing. It's true. Angie takes care of finance.
Yeah, but we haven't had any kaching yet, so.
Yeah, the Ary sitting here. So Ary, send the WhatsApp message to the group. Angie will take care of collection of payment, not payment. We don't pay anything. We just collect money.
We collect money.
Yeah, we don't have habit of paying people. We only collect our stuff. Okay, and then we'll leave it as that. And then after, are we good? Hey, guys, I need one picture of all of us laughing for one screen grab for the stupid picture that I got to put at the. I'm laughing.
Let the balloons fly first.
No, auntie using the phone. That's why I can tell you.
No. Laptop.
How laptop got this?
Go on.
God.
Yes, so just
Obviously the happy one.
yeah, just laugh. Everyone just laugh like we're having a great time.